If you live in Bengaluru or follow meme culture, you've probably seen this.
Government has decided to ban bike taxis.
However, the law bans humans from commuting might as well become a parcel to reach your office.
People calling themselves parcels just to get a ride.
हाँ भैया पार्सल रेडी है आ जाओ.
It sounds absurd, but it's real. And it tells you just how messy things got after June 15th. That's when Karnataka enforced a ban on bike taxis. And in just 24 hours, Bengaluru's traffic spiked by 18 percentage points. Congestion at 7 p.m. went from 59% to 77%. Peak hours stretched. Commutes got 30 to 45 minutes longer in some zones. Auto fares jumped up soon enough, with passengers paying 250 rupees for what used to be a 50 rupee ride. This wasn't just a policy change, it was a policy vacuum, and the whole city felt it. I'm your host Lavanya, and in this episode of the Climate Brief, we break down how the bike taxi ban turned Bengaluru into a commuter's nightmare, what it tells us about the state of public transport, and how we could reimagine it. Let's rewind to where this began. In April 2025, the Karnataka High Court ruled that bike taxis were illegal under the Motor Vehicles Act of 1988. The ruling further said that unless the state could come up with a regulatory framework by June 15th, they'd have to shut it all down. But the state government didn't bring in any policy. No guidelines, no licensing, no safety norms, so by default, bike taxis were banned. On June 16th, the ban kicked in. Rapido, Uber, Ola all pulled their bikes from Bengaluru's roads. According to the Nama Bike Taxi Association, the ban impacted over 6 lakh families across Karnataka. Some had bought bikes on EMI, others were students or part-time riders looking to make ends meet. Now, no work, no warning, no alternative. The crackdown was intense. Some riders were fined up to 5,000 rupees for operating bike taxis without permission. Others switched strategies, pretending to deliver food or parcels just to stay on the road. With no regulation in place and no alternatives offered, commuters had just one choice: wait longer, pay more, or walk. To understand why this ban hit so hard, you have to understand what bike taxis were doing for the city. They weren't just a cheap and fast mode of transport. They were a much-needed patchwork solution. Bengaluru's public transport system is still catching up. And in that gap, bike taxis became the glue. See, the metro network in Bengaluru is still very nascent, just 2 main lines. The bus network is better, but it still doesn't reach every neighborhood, especially the narrow lanes or outer zones. So even if you take a bus or a metro, how do you get from the station to your doorstep? That's what we call last mile connectivity. And making that accessible, that last little stretch, is critical to helping people actually use public transport. According to a 2023 KPMG report, most bike taxi trips either start or end at public transport hubs. In Bengaluru, autos often refuse short rides or overcharge for them, and buses don't cover narrow lanes. Hence, bike taxis played an important part in providing last-mile connectivity. Less than a week into the ban, the results were visible and measurable. Remember that post-ban spike we talked about? From 59% to 77% on day 1? On June 18th, just 2 days after the ban, Bengaluru clocked 83% congestion at 7 p.m, up from the average 61% the week before. That is a 22-point spike. And it wasn't just a data point. You could feel it on the road. A senior traffic police officer confirmed it with Money Control, stating, "There's been a rise in congestion since June 16th, but we're still assessing if it's linked to the ban." But let's be honest, when shared mobility options vanish, people turn back to cars and bikes. And what you get is exactly this: monster traffic jams. An emission study published by the Mumbai Metropolitan Region Environment Improvement Society states that the cars driving in slow, congested traffic between 5 to 20 kilometers per hour emit 4 to 8 times more pollutants than at steady speeds between 55 to 70 kilometers per hour. Even at moderate congestion, say 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, pollution doubles. When traffic slows to a crawl, when you're inching forward at walking speed, it's safe to say we had slipped below the 20 kilometers per hour threshold. Bengaluru already sees over 40% of its PM 2.5 emissions come from transport. And that's on regular days. Which brings us to something we rarely talk about: noise. The Karnataka State Pollution Control Board operates 10 noise monitoring stations across Bengaluru, covering silent zones, residential, commercial, and industrial areas. They publish the data for these stations every month. In the month of May, at major junctions, daytime noise often exceeded 85 to 90 decibels, sometimes even 100, far above the safe limit of 55 decibels set by CPCB. And now, with more private vehicles back on the road, engines louder, horns angrier, gridlock everywhere, those numbers are expected to climb even higher when the next KSPCB report is published. So within days, we weren't just dealing with longer commutes. We were looking at a city moving slower, breathing harder, and sounding angrier. Other states are trying to figure it out, building frameworks, bringing in safety norms, experimenting with EV incentives. Bengaluru, it's still stuck in traffic. While Karnataka pulled the plug, other states were trying to plug the gaps. On May 30th, Maharashtra released a draft policy for electric bike taxis. It included safety checks, speed limits, GPS tracking, and rider verification. It aims to encourage EV adoption and create self-employment opportunities in the gig sector. Other states like Goa, Rajasthan, Haryana, and West Bengal have also explored similar frameworks. Some more lenient, some stricter, but all aiming to regulate, not erase. And back in Karnataka, nothing yet. No official timeline, no replacement plan. It doesn't have to be this way. Bengaluru can still build a system that works with proper licensing, data transparency, rider safety, and environmental standards. Imagine this: affordable last mile rides, seamless connectivity with buses and metros, and thousands of gig workers with legal protections. And honestly, this isn't just about bike taxis. It's a wake-up call. Bengaluru needs a bigger rethink, one that prioritizes public transport, suburban rail, more buses, better metro access, and then use solutions like bike taxis to fill the gaps. Because better transport isn't just about saving time, it's about cleaner air and quieter streets. We explored that in our episode on imagining cities without cars. Go check it out. What do you think Bengaluru needs to fix this mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this episode gave you something to think about, share it. I'm Lavanya, and this was the Climate Brief.